started with a dare. In the quiet town of Ravenwood, there was an abandoned house on the outskirts, shrouded in shadows even on the brightest days. It was said to be cursed, a place where anyone who entered never came back the same. The locals called it the Hollow. Despite the warnings, 5 friends, Liam, Ellie, Marcus, Sarah, and Jenna, decided to explore it. They were thrill seekers, always chasing adrenaline. The house loomed before them, its windows shattered and its walls covered in creeping ivy. The air was unnaturally cold, and an eerie silence surrounded the area, broken only by the occasional rustling of leaves. "Come on, it's just a house," Marcus said, trying to mask his unease. As they stepped inside, the wooden floor groaned under their weight. The smell of dampness and decay hung in the air. The walls were covered with strange, childlike drawings, figures with hollow eyes and crooked smiles. "Did you hear that?" Jenna whispered, clutching Liam's arm. A faint whispering sound echoed through the empty halls. The whispering grew louder the deeper they ventured. At first it was indecipherable, a low murmuring sound. But then it started forming words. "Leave, now." Ellie froze, her flashlight trembling in her hands. "Did you hear that?" "Someone's here," Liam scoffed. "It's just the wind." But the whispering grew sharper, angrier. Suddenly, the door behind them slammed shut with a deafening bang. They all spun around, their hearts racing. "Okay, not funny," Sarah said, her voice shaky. "No one touched it," Jenna replied, her voice barely audible. They pressed on, each step heavier than the last. The drawings on the walls seemed to shift as they passed, the hollow-eyed figures turning to watch them. They found the stairs to the basement hidden behind a tattered curtain. The air grew colder with each step they descended, and the smell of decay intensified. The basement was vast, far larger than the house above should have allowed. The walls were lined with shelves filled with old dolls, their eyes missing and their faces cracked. In the center of the room was a large wooden table, and on it lay an ancient leather-bound book. "What is this?" Marcus asked, reaching for the book. "Don't touch it," Ellie warned, but it was too late. The moment his fingers brushed the cover, the whispering erupted into screams. The dolls on the shelves turned their heads in unison, their empty sockets fixating on the group. The room shook violently, and the lights from their flashlights flickered. A deep, guttural voice boomed from the shadows. "You should not have come." The group scrambled for the stairs, but the basement door had vanished. It was as if the house was alive, shifting and trapping them. Marcus started screaming, clutching his chest. His skin turned pale as veins of darkness spread across his body. "Help me!" he cried, but no one dared approach. His eyes rolled back and he collapsed, lifeless. Suddenly his body jerked upright, but it wasn't Marcus anymore. His hollow eyes glowed with a sinister light, and his mouth stretched into an unnatural smile. "Run, while you still can," the thing said, its voice distorted and inhuman. They ran, the walls twisting and shifting around them. What was once a small house now felt like an endless maze. Doors appeared and disappeared, leading to nowhere. Ellie tripped and fell, scraping her knee. As Liam turned to help her, the floorboards beneath her cracked open, and skeletal hands emerged, dragging her into the darkness. "Ellie!" Liam screamed, but she was gone. The others pressed on, their breaths ragged. The whispering returned, this time calling their names. Sarah, Jenna, Liam. They stumbled into a room filled with mirrors, each reflecting something different. Versions of themselves twisted and grotesque. In one mirror, Jenna saw her reflection grinning as it slit her own throat. "This isn't real," she whispered, but the fear was too overwhelming. In the center of the room stood an old woman, her face obscured by a veil. She held the leather-bound book and whispered in a language none of them could understand. "What do you want?" Sarah demanded. The woman lifted her veil, revealing a face that was nothing but a black void. "Your souls," she hissed. Liam grabbed a shard of broken mirror and charged at the woman. The moment he touched her, she exploded into a swarm of shadowy figures that enveloped him. Sarah and Jenna screamed as the shadows spread, consuming the room. Jenna fell to her knees, clutching her head as the whispering grew unbearable. "Make it stop!" she cried, but the shadows took her too. Sarah was the last one standing. She grabbed the leather book and began tearing its pages. The shadows recoiled, their screams echoing through the house. With one final tear, the house shuddered and the shadows dissipated. Sarah found herself back at the front door, gasping for air. The house was silent now, its walls crumbling. She stumbled outside, the sunlight blinding her. But as she walked away, she felt a cold breath on her neck and a familiar whisper. "It's not over." She turned, but there was nothing there. This story leaves a lingering sense of dread, as Sarah realizes the curse may have followed her home.